Hi there, Adam Parsons here, and in honor of both my 1-year anniversary on YouTube and my 20th episode, I'd like to show you how I made the jhumwox puppet. Alright, this was the first rough design for jhumwox. You can see that it was quite a bit different than what the actual puppet turned out to look like. That was partly because of the materials and partly because I changed my mind a lot as I went. These are all the materials that I used to make him. Cost me around $40, and some of it got left out. Some of the paints that I bought I wound up not using, so I kind of cut the video where I showed you that up close. Let's get something straight. This is not how you should make puppets in general. If you're interested in making puppets, there are plenty of great tutorials out there. This is not one of them. This is just how I made jhumwox. And I didn't make him very well either. I just kind of threw him together. I didn't really know what I was doing. He came out great for what he is, but the next time I have to make one, when I have to replace him with something, will be a much better looking puppet, I hope. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of time lapse. I'm going to time lapse a lot of the spots where I would be making or sewing the puppet. I'm assuming you already know how to sew. Anything that involves putting it together, I'm probably going to speed up or just cut out. I just want to show you the shapes that I used and made and the basic construction. Yeah, his tongue is a sponge. So I bought a little pack of sponges. Those are cheap. So not only are we on the 1-year anniversary of the show and the 20th episode, but my videos are being featured on MovieQuest. So that's MovieQuest is a program by Heykillerfilms and IndyMogul, and they do a weekly show, and they showcase usually independent films under one theme. And this week's theme happened to be aliens, and I had left a little comment saying, well, you know, most of the stuff I do is alien oriented, but it's not exactly a short film. It's just kind of episodic, and it was featured anyway. So a big thanks to IndyMogul and Heykillerfilms. Just happened to be a great week for the show. The pen, little fabric pen, that turned out to be a good thing and a bad thing. I drew some, you'll see it later, I drew some details on jhumwox with that purple fabric pen. Why is this just sitting here not doing anything? I should cut this out, but I'm not going to. I drew these details on jhumwox, and you can't really see them you can't really see them on film, so that turned out to be kind of a bummer. That is a sock. It's a brand new sock, so I actually wouldn't suggest building this kind of puppet with a sock as a base anymore, but that's what I did in the first place, so we'll see how it goes. Now the purple material you see there, that's felt. It's not a good idea to make a puppet out of felt. I mean, not unless you're just making a fun little project kind of puppet. I regret making jhumwox out of felt. I actually have material ready to go. I say a lot. I actually have material ready to go for the next jhumwox puppet when the current puppet is ready to be retired and he's starting to fall apart, which is getting a little closer than I'd like, but he's getting a little bit old. He's a year old now, and that's kind of old for a puppet. especially one used every 2 weeks. Sometimes more than that, depending on how much production I have to put into it. But I have the material standing by for the next puppet. I want to make him a little more professionally this time around. Just put a little more effort into it. Not that this isn't plenty of effort, but Clyde looks so much better than he does. Incidentally, there will not be a How I Made Clyde video because I did not film making Clyde. I'll probably film just about every puppet I make from now on, but Clyde was someone else's puppet pattern. If you go to, I can't think of the name of the place right now, but it'll be up on the screen here as I say this. You go there, and you can download all kinds of puppet patterns. And I used one of theirs, and since I didn't make them from scratch, I just felt like it just didn't feel right to do a video on how I made him based on someone else's pattern. So next time I got to make a puppet, and maybe the next time I make a puppet like Clyde, you'll see how I made him. But for now, there will not be a Clyde puppet tutorial, or this isn't really a tutorial, but there will not be a video showing how I made Clyde. Now keep in mind that anytime you see me using the scissors, this video is sped up, so be careful. You see me cutting the sides of that sock with scissors with my hand in it. That's a very bad idea, especially if you're not going to do it very carefully. So I was a lot more careful than it looks like in the video. It's just sped up, so it looks really haphazard and weird. Foam is fantastic. You can put just about any cloth over it, and you can hack it up, and you can sew it up, and you can glue it up, and when you put the material over it, there's enough give that it won't look terrible. See, what I did here was I just sewed up this whole piece of foam, and if you were to just try to pass that off as the puppet, you'd be in trouble. Because you see all the stitching and everything. I mean, unless you wanted to make a Frankenstein puppet, there's really no limit. See, so I just sewed up each part there to round it out. This is the top of jhumwox's head. And I sewed that to the sock. Again, you want to be really careful when you're sewing this kind of thing, with your hand in it. That's usually a bad idea. So I won't tell you to do that. I'll show you me doing it, but I won't tell you to do it. Yeah. Another thing you want to be careful of, and I didn't do that with jhumwox because I've done it plenty of times before and I've learned how to avoid it. But if you're ever sewing something and you're using your lap as the surface, you got to be careful. And the obvious joke is poking yourself in the leg or somewhere else undesirable. But the actual problem comes into play when you, or the actual problem turns out is that a lot of the times you will accidentally sew whatever you're making to your pants. And then you have to undo everything just so you don't have a puppet permanently attached to your pants. So, avoid that. I learned that a lot. I learned that, I did that a couple times in middle school. That's when I kind of started making puppets. I've always enjoyed the Muppets, and I figured, well, that can't be too hard. The ones I made were awful. Maybe if I get one or two, I still have them at my parents' house. Maybe if I get some of them up here, I can show you what they looked like. They were not pretty. I just did whatever. I didn't quite care as much about the about the process as I did the finished product. So the finished product looked halfway decent, but if I'd spent more time in the process, then they would have came out much better. So this is his jaw. You can see I cut some grooves in it just to make folding it and sewing it a little bit easier. Sorry I haven't really talked much about the actual process, just more or less anecdotes about making it and my my childhood, but yeah, you just you can see what I'm doing, and if you have any questions, drop me a line. I'd be happy to answer it. This was this was over a year ago when I made this, so you might ask a question that I don't know the answer to, but heck, the worst I can say is I don't know. So drop me a line. I'd be happy to tell you what I did if I remember. Anyway, we are coming to near the end of this video now. So this is just part 1. Part 2, and there'll probably be 3 or 4, maybe even a 5, depending on how much I can and can't cut out as I go. But I'm going to get all this done at the same time, so you can join me again here pretty soon. Probably the same day, so I'll be uploaded the same day. So I'll see you in a video or two.